This is the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 22, and today we're going to be talking about 3 ways that you can make money selling your information. A lot of people are trying to do this via blogs, via podcast, and other free media. We're going to talk to you about how to make money with it, and that's next on this episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money. Work less and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
Laurel, I was hanging out with this rock star yesterday.
That sounds awesome. Why don't you bring me?
It's pretty cool to hang out with these guys because not only are they successful, but they're also very well known and a lot of times famous. And something that was very interesting that I noticed about this guy was that he remembered everybody's name. I thought it was just me. He was there to see me. But he remembered everybody else in the room. And I mentioned it to one of the guys that I work with afterwards. I said, did he get your name? Because he was using my name a lot during this meeting. He goes, yeah, I totally noticed that. And I think it's just a good reminder. Stephen Covey talks about this in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, name control. Using somebody's name. I think Shakespeare actually said it.
Names are really important. I mean, you see that in any sort of success material that you go through, and it talks about using people's names and remembering their names. I mean, that's something that's kind of like Success 101.
Me, yeah, totally. But this guy, you would think, I mean, he came off like a rock star, kind of had that vibe around him. You wouldn't think that he was actually paying attention. You know, you meet those business guys, and they're like right on it, like a firm handshake and a nod and the polished shoes and the whole bit. This guy, he'd been hanging out all day, but there was something about him, and that's something I've noticed with all the successful people that I've met. They have something about them. There's some kind of quality. You can't put your finger on it. And this guy, it came through, and one of the ways that it did it was by remembering everybody's name. So just a reminder to anybody listening, that goes a long, long way. Right, Laurel?
Yes, David. Well, I've had people on my Go Fire Yourself podcast get my name wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like 1, we've emailed back and forth several times. 2, you can look it up on the website. There's no reason you should get people's names wrong. I mean, pay attention.
No, don't ever. Right. And whenever I'm doing an interview, I always verify the guy's name. Verify the name and verify the pronunciation. Mm-hmm. A lot of times David Hooper is my name, but sometimes they'll call me David Hopper, David Cooper. I can understand that, but what's embarrassing is if you are doing a taped interview, such as a podcast or a radio show, when you've got to go through 8 or 10 different edits of it, when they're doing what I was just talking about, name control, but they got the name wrong. If you're going to do it, make sure you got the name right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love your reminder there. It's like get people's names right and start using them. And that's a big one.
You just perk up. Anytime you hear your name in a crowd, perk up. And it works in meetings too. All right. I want to talk about how to make money by selling your information. And by information, sometimes it can be just a single big idea. And there are 3 basic ways that people do that. And most of the time, what I've seen, Laurel, is when people are starting out, if you look into kind of the blogosphere.
The blogosphere.
I call it the blogosphere. The
like bloggers and content creators.
Content creators. I've heard it called content marketing or information marketing or internet marketing sometimes. Something that you see, I think this is the quickest way in, is what I call one-to-one. And that's like a service-based business, a lot of coaching or consulting. And that's a good first business to get into because people need their hands held. And it could be, one-on-one work could be something like dance lessons. If you're a dancer, it could be tutoring people. It could be helping them to start their business. It comes in a variety of forms, but that's the very basic business that a lot of people do when they get started.
To share their knowledge.
Feet on the ground. Well, sometimes I still go back and do this. The last book that I came out with, I don't do a lot of one-on-one consulting because I find it so draining. And you've done some more recently than I have. You know how draining it can be. You've got to really be paying attention to people.
You got to get the right clients.
You've got to get the right clients. You've got to listen. You've got to really be engaged for the entire time that you're with them. But one of the things that I did before I did my last book, and this is the super advantage of doing this kind of work, so don't rush through it if that's the stage of business that you're in, is that it's feet on the ground, getting to know your customers. You get to have success stories. You get to be with them and really get to know who they are and what it is they need. That can help you with your business in the long run, big time.
And I think also it's one of the easiest things to get into. I mean, you don't have to create any material. You don't have to record any videos. You don't have to really do anything. All you need is yourself, your knowledge, and the ability to coach, which is helpful.
That's all you need. And the other thing about clients. One-on-one, well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. One-on-one, as the name says, you just have to sell one person on it. So you can be in business with just a single customer. You may need more than one customer to actually sustain the business and pay your bills, but it starts with one person. So it's a great first business. If you've got a big idea, if you've got something that you want to teach, you could get started with one-on-one probably tomorrow.
And I've seen a lot of people skip that step for whatever reason, and I don't find that to be as effective. For instance, they start a business and they just want to do something we're going to talk about in a minute, is start to do group programs or start to do audio courses that they can sell a lot of. And the thing is, you don't know a lot about your customer. What you were talking about, David, is you don't know a lot about your client. You don't know a lot about their needs. And you don't know if the material and the content that you're putting together can solve their needs and their problems. So I think one-on-one is a great place to start no matter where you are, because it puts you in the trenches with your target audience. So you get to know them, you get to know their problems, and then you can build from there, giving them exactly the information they want and not what you just think they want.
I've got another story it's another music business story. We just can't get away from these. There's a band, this is fascinating to me. There's a band called Erasure. Do you know Erasure?
I've heard of them.
If you were gay, you would know Erasure. These
There's
guys
the problem.
Have been... These guys have been around.
Give me a song.
Well, we'd have to go into a gay club. I guarantee you it's being played.
Okay.
But one of the guys was in Depeche Mode, wrote a song called You Just Can't Get Enough. You ever heard that song?
Oh, yeah.
The reason that those guys are doing so well, and there's another gay band, actually, Pet Shop Boys, same way. These guys are still hanging out in the clubs. And you think about a band that's in the dance music genre, which that stuff is, sometimes you could have a dance hit today and nobody knows who you are 2 weeks later. These guys have been around 20, maybe 30 years. How do they do it? Well, they keep an ear to the dance floor, and that's the equivalent of one-on-one. You've got your feet on the ground, and even if you're to the point where you can have a group program, as I mentioned, that's how I really connected with my last book, was going to do that one-on-one work. It's the equivalent of an actor performing a part and then going to live with a family that's maybe in that business, or going to shadow somebody who's in that business. So it is a huge, huge asset to you and your customers, and it's also a great way to jump in just because you only have to sell one person. But what's the problem with one-on-one, Laurel?
The problem with one-on-one is you only have so much time in the day. I mean, I can only take on so many clients and help so many people. And when you want to spread the message or the idea that you have or help more people, one-on-one becomes a difficult medium to do that.
You run out of hours in the day. It's exhausting, as I mentioned, just to be that intense with one person.
It's exhausting for some people.
Well, it's exhausting for some people. It's exhausting for me because I really, really care. I jump in with these guys full throttle, and sometimes they're going to have success, and sometimes, unfortunately, they're not. I used to get really frustrated when people wouldn't do the work and they wouldn't take my suggestions. I take it to heart. So I think for a lot of people, if you're like that, one-on-one can be tough. But one-on-many or one-to-many, that's sort of like one-on-one, but it's a group thing. It could be like, talked about tutoring earlier being one-on-one, but a teacher in a classroom is one-to-many. For the information marketers, content marketers, blogosphere people, that could be a seminar is one-to-many. It's anytime you're doing the work. It's not recorded. You're actually doing it, but you're reaching a lot of people. Teleseminars, webinars, radio shows, the podcast, in a lot of ways, is one-to-many, even though it's actually replicated. We're not in a live room. It's not a live broadcast.
The good part about things like that is it does offer a lot of value to your customers, and it's able to get out your big idea. But usually group programs or live events or something like that cost a fraction of what your one-on-one coaching or consulting might cost. So your customers get a lot of great information from you. They get to work with you. They get to interact with other people working with you, but they don't have to pay as much.
They don't pay as much, but
you can make more.
Exactly. Because there's so many people paying you even a little bit less money, in the end, when you add it all up, it's more money for you, and it's maximizing your time. You can make more of an impact if you do it right by doing a one-to-many event. And you've done those before. I have too. Any kind of seminars that we've done, Laurel, those are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and I always get a lot of energy when I'm doing group programs with clients, because you just get to bounce things off other people, and other people's experience affects everybody. And I just think it's a great way to do. I like starting out with a one-on-one and really taking what I've learned from that and bringing it into a group program.
You and I have been talking about actually doing some of that for Red. We've had some interest, people working with us that have heard the podcast, and we're not necessarily doing one-on-one work right now, but we thought about putting a group together of high-level entrepreneurs. So that may be happening in the future.
Well, we'll have to let people know the announcement when it comes out.
So go to redpodcast.com. You can get on the mailing list if you're interested. If that ever happens, we'll let you know. But we don't have any details as of yet. It's just something that people have requested, because I think people do like the group program, the group idea, because they get to meet other like-minded people.
Exactly. I mean, when you're in a group, I've held group programs and facilitated them, and I've also been in them. And I feel like, as I said before, there's a lot of energy in that room with other like-minded people. And it's a great way to have success if you're in the program, or to create a successful way to spread your ideas and help more people than just one-on-one, and not run out of hours in the day.
On the previous episode number 21, which you can listen to at redpodcast.com/21, we were talking about the pole, Laurel. You climbed that 50-foot pole and jumped off.
I was like, we were talking about the pole that Laurel was on. That's not good.
Not that one.
Not that pole. Shh. Don't tell anyone about that pole.
We're talking about the 50-foot one that you climbed and you jumped off.
Yes.
Took a lot of faith. And the reason I was able to do that, first of all, was because I had a friend who went before me. And I think that's the advantage of a one-to-many group program. And that's a good selling point. If you're trying to sell one of those, you can say, hey, you can see other people who are doing it. You can find inspiration from them, get help from them. That's what encouraged me to climb a 50-foot pole and jump off. It's encouraged me to do a lot of things that I've done in my business career. And just seeing that something is possible sometimes is worth the price of admission. You're facilitating that, but sometimes what people get out of a group program isn't anything that you're doing specifically, other than having other group people there with them.
Mm-hmm. Which adds a lot of value.
A lot of value. So of the big three, the first one being one-on-one, the second one-to-many, the third is really what I have been concentrating on for quite a while now. This is when you get to the level where there's a demand for your services. There are too many people for you to do one-on-one. There are too many people for you to do one-to-many, or you simply just don't have enough time to personally be at everything. And that's what I call replication. And replication is a lot of times what you get paid the least for, but because there's so many people that are interested, you actually end up making the most money. A replication is where you do the work once, but you get paid again and again and again. You don't actually have to be there, and that can be a book, it could be a podcast, it could be a radio show, it could be a seminar that you've taped, it could be reports, ebooks, anything.
It could also be audio courses or video courses.
And anything that you can hit the record button and have a sound of your voice taped somewhere else. or have a picture of you videoed somewhere else, or have your words printed somewhere else. But replication is huge, and that's